Like there is a fire alarm. So it rings means, it bells means there is a fire. Since there is a fire, so it is alarm is ringing. It is not because alarm is ringing, so fire is there, right? Alarm will ring only if the first is fire has to be there. Alarm is not a problem. Rather, it is an indication, it is a warning that problem is there. Right? Try to understand. So, if you think that alarm itself is a problem and you cut the supply so that the alarm should not ring, so are you heading towards a solution? You are heading towards a greater problem, isn't it? The same thing happens with the blood pressure. If you try to address it from blood pressure point of view, so it is like you want to switch off the alarm. Right? Oh, alarm is disturbing me, I am not able to listen to the lecture. Let me first cut the supply so the alarm or switch off the alarm. By switching off the alarm, you are not doing anything to the problem. You are hiding yourself from the problem. But problem is still there. Right? So it is a warning. So high blood pressure is just a warning. It is not the problem itself. So where we need to address, if we can do something to break that clot, so the blood pressure will reduce, and blood pressure reduces means the blockage is gone. The kind of blood pressure medication which you are taking, do you think it does anything to reduce the clot blockage? No, we know that. So how it is reducing your blood pressure? It is working on heart, it is forcing heart to work less. Right? So what happens when we grow old? Your heart works less. The same thing it is doing, but you are not growing old, but it is making your heart old. So already there is a problem that there is a blockage, and the top of it, what you are doing, you are adding the problem by making it work less. So this means two problems. Right? So when you take a blood pressure medication, so in reality, what you are doing, you are increasing your problem. You are adding a problem. You are not solving the problem. So like blood sugar, it is blood pressure medicine also that it makes the thing more complex and it makes you more ill. It is not a solution at all. A question can come in your mind that if these medicines are so deadly, why it is still doctors they suggest it? So to know the whole story, we are having limited time, so I will spend more time in the solution rather than about the problem, which I am only 5 more minutes on the problem, then the rest of the time we will work on the solution, what we can do and what we should do right now once we go back. What's in our hand, that's more important. But if you are curious about the whole conspiracy story, I suggest you that you go to the website called alltrials.net. Number one journal of the world, it's called British Medical Journal, BMJ. In 2016, they started a campaign called alltrial.net, and in this campaign, they started exposing each of the medicine one by one. Because one clinical case study came, that is half of all clinical trials, the spelling of trial is wrong, never published. Half of all clinical trials never published. That came in that is a reality. This means whenever the clinical trials happens, the bad side or the negative side or the side effect of the trial, that is being hidden by the pharmaceutical company so that they get a clearance from FDA. So now, British Medical Journal, since 2016, they started exposing all this medicine, the kind of medicine which is popularly consumed by the world. So here all the stories and conspiracy will be there. So that you can of course read, and to satisfy yourself that before you take the next pill, try to understand if it is a blood pressure medicine, if it is a blood sugar medicine, it is not going to help you. It is going to help only those people who are selling you the medicine. That is for sure. So what is high blood pressure? Imagine a snake comes suddenly. So what will happen? While talking to you, my attention will go on the snake. I will just jump, I'll be frightened, and my heart start beating fast. And at this point of time, if you read my blood pressure, what will be the blood pressure like? Very, very high. So will you label me, oh, you are a high blood pressure patient? Certainly not. So when my blood pressure is very high, actually certain kind of hormone is circulating in the body, and that is making me more alert so that I can protect myself from the snake. It is an alarm for me. So high blood pressure. High blood pressure is a signal that there is a danger around. Right? Now, a zebra in the jungle, suddenly zebra could sense there is a tiger around. What will happen? his heart start beating more, right? So, and now he is able to see more clearly, he is more alert, he is able to hear more clearly, and he is preparing, his body is preparing for himself for fight or flight, right? So he is in a different mode, more alert mode, he is not casual, right? He is not relaxing. So at that time, his blood pressure should be very high. So blood pressure is like an alarm that danger is around. It is preparing your body for the expected danger so that you can protect yourself. It is not a disease. It should not be classified as a disease. So what happens to you as a human? When you go to the doctor, the moment you look at the doctor, your blood pressure becomes high. Right? Older the doctor, more is the blood pressure. More expensive is the hospital, more is the blood pressure. And now doctor checks your blood pressure. Look, your blood pressure is high. Certainly high. But who is responsible? The doctor is responsible. Right? You escape from the hospital, come back and blood pressure comes down normal. Right? This is known as white coat syndrome. The moment you see, there are people, about 80% of you, the moment you see white coat, your blood pressure shoots up. 80%, right? American Journal of Cardiology, 1987. So 80% of the people who are taking blood pressure medication, that is not your real blood pressure. The moment somebody tries to check the blood pressure, the very thought that somebody is testing my blood pressure itself brings the blood pressure high, right? It is kind of danger kind of thing which you have associated already, right? So threat. So it is not your real blood pressure. It is only during the testing time your blood pressure is higher, but normally, and that is up to 80% of the people, among the people who are taking the blood pressure medication. So blood pressure is not a problem, right? But trying to reduce it, that can be truly a problem. And if at all your blood pressure is very, very high, there can be underlying cause. You have to address the cause, and if you can do it, then you can solve the problem. But without addressing cause, if you just take randomly the pills, you are increasing your problem, and surely you are increasing your problem. Now you see, if I ask you one question, what do you think is the normal blood pressure, standard blood pressure? Any answer? 120/80. Wherever I go, whichever part of the world I go to UK or Switzerland or Vietnam, even Bangladesh, India, here also. Yesterday also I asked the same question. Answer always remains 120/80, right? So now you see in the world the highest living people who have the longest life is Norway population, about 80 years, and their average blood pressure is 150/90. Now imagine a doctor from Singapore goes to Norway. So what he will interpret? My God, whole population will die of heart attack. Let me bring down the blood pressure, right? So that is how they will react, but that is very much their normal blood pressure. So on the other hand, in India there is a small island called Andaman Nicobar, and there is a tribe called Jaravas population, and if you check the blood pressure, it is 100/60 most of the time, 100/60. Now imagine a doctor here is posted in Andaman Nicobar Island. Now you see, oh my God, they are all going to die. We must do something to bring their blood pressure up. Right? So when you chase any particular number that I have to achieve particular number, you are going to die early. Right? So the important thing is, am I comfortable? That is the most important thing. So what I understood, what I learned in last few years while treating my patient, that you need not to chase the number. At what number you are comfortable? For example, it is like a size of shoe. Everybody will not have the same shoe size. It will vary, right? But you do not see what is the number. You just wear it and walk it. If it is comfortable, it is your shoe size, isn't it? Right? It is not that you decided my shoe size is 9, only 9 size I will wear. That's all, right? Whatever may be the comfort level. You don't do it, right? You wear any shoe, and if it is comfortable walking, that becomes your number. Right? So the same way is the blood pressure. So don't chase by number. The moment you chase by number, you are taking a different track. You may be able to achieve your number, but you may not be able to achieve the health. And mostly we have associated that health and number are same. Let's say you just told me 120/80 is the standard, and a doctor will say try to bring your blood pressure to 120/80 and your chances of living is higher. So what I do, I make some changes in my body and my blood pressure remains exactly 120/80 at every moment. 120/80 every moment. Doesn't go up, doesn't go down. Right? Now just imagine what will happen. Suddenly I see a snake. What will be my reaction? Well, let it be. My blood pressure is 120 by 80. This means my brain is not triggering any alarm, right? This means my brain is saying everything is normal, don't worry. So try to understand blood pressure is also connected with your emotion, right? Feeling of emotion, good or bad. So the blood pressure is a reflection of how emotionally you're feeling. The threat, right? The threat threshold comes with the change in the blood pressure, and change in the blood pressure also is related to the kind of hormone which the brain wants to release and circulate in the body in few seconds, so that you immediately feel the threat or immediately feel happiness, immediately feel a particular kind of emotion which may be required for you at that particular time, right? So blood pressure, what is your blood pressure? Suitable blood pressure, the blood pressure at which you are comfortable. So it is nothing to just chase a number. So now I just told you ACP guideline 2018. At the end I will give you the link. Whatever I am giving the references, right, off and on, of some journal or some case study, some trials. At the end I will give you the link, and in that link I have collected all the journal report which you can go and you can satisfy yourself more. That is one thing. And second thing is, in this journey today, in next 1.5 hours or so, you may be having a lot of queries, a lot of questions, a lot of confusion, a lot of doubts, where you may not agree with what I am saying. So don't accept because I am saying. If you have any question, any doubts, you keep on writing, and at the end I'll give you opportunity, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever time is available, so you can clear the doubts. You can question. You must question. After all, it is about your health, right? It is making a new decision about your health. So you should be satisfied. So now, as you see, the guideline changed. Similarly, the guideline of blood pressure also kept on changing, but for a negative reason. So before 1993, had I asked what is the normal blood pressure, so the answer would have been 160 by 100. JNC, Joint National Committee Report, 1993. So anybody having blood pressure more than 160 by 100, they are only warranted for medication. So, but after that, 1993 onwards, it became 140 by 90, and now you are saying 120 by 80. Maybe within few months it will become 115 by 75. And once it happens, only those people will be called healthy, those who will not check their blood pressure. Anybody checking their blood pressure will come back as a sick patient, only taking the lifelong medication. So here you see the trend. And it is not just the trend of blood pressure medication or blood pressure diagnostic, the trend of blood sugar also, the trend of cholesterol also, the trend of thyroid disease also. With the time, what is happening? The diagnostic parameter are getting squeezed. So this means more healthy people are converted into a sick patient. It's like you are playing a football match and you don't want to lose, so what you are doing, every time you get a chance, you are making your goalpost smaller and smaller and smaller. A time will come when a goalpost is so small that it is even smaller than the size of football. This means even a world's top football player cannot win against you, because only your side is smaller, his side is okay, the same size, right? So try to understand that about 20 years back, before 1983, think of the day before 1983, how many people taking diabetes medication you can recall, and now you see how many people you can think after 40 years of age, those who are not taking diabetes or blood pressure medication or cholesterol medication or blood thinner medication, right? So you will roughly able to understand the whole conspiracy of over-medicating the world, right? This means it is assumed now by medical industry that nobody can remain healthy after 40. If at 40 years of age you go to the doctor, you will come back with some medicine, right? Or it is called general checkup. Yearly checkup. Mostly it happens in government offices or corporate world. Once in a year checkup. That is just to increase their business, right? So converting the healthy people into sick people. So recent report this year, 2019, Cochrane. Remember the word COCHRANE, Cochrane collaboration. Cochrane is one very authenticated organization. It started 1996 or so, and that keep an eye on the medical science, what is happening around. It is being recognized by more than 150 countries, sponsored by more than 150 countries. India is one of the sponsors. And Cochrane, they don't associate themselves or they don't accept any funding from a private person or from a pharmaceutical company. And Cochrane, they kept an eye on the people who went for annual checkup for last 10 years and the people who never bothered to have any kind of checkup. And after 10 years of keeping an eye on lakhs of people, 100,000 people, they came to the conclusion this year, the people who went for checkup at least once a year, they are the one who died faster. So rest of the factor remain the same. Their economic factor and their lifestyle, everything remains the same. Only one thing different, that these are more curious about their health, and once a year they go for the checkup, and these they don't bother to check up. So that is one new tip, and the result came this year only. But anything which is not recommending medicine are the thing which comes in the journal, but it never makes its way to the normal media. Right? Because normal media, you see, these days are paid media. Whoever need to publish anything, they need to first pay some money, only then it comes. But if it does not come in the conventional media, it does not mean that it is not true. If it has come in medical journal, that itself means that it is having some standing, especially when it is released by Cochrane collaboration, Cochrane. The nearest center Cochrane collaboration is Penang, that is Penang Medical College in Malaysia. Right? So in Cochrane database, if you check, I think for India, Malaysia, I think for Singapore also it is free. The citizen can freely access the Cochrane database. So there you will find a lot of striking answer or relevant answer which can help you in making a decision. For example, if you ask, see the Cochrane collaboration, after what blood pressure I should be taking medication, the answer is Cochrane 2012 report that says if somebody's blood pressure goes more than 160 by 100, only then the medicine may benefit you a little bit. But if you naturally maintain the blood pressure less than 160 by 100, this means you need not to take the medication. And by taking medication, you are doing more harm than any good. So whether I talk of Cochrane collaboration, 2012, whether I talk of 2018 ACP guideline, or whether I talk of this year, 2019 American Heart Association new guideline. 2019 March new guideline, and according to this new guideline, that many new things were there, but one of the very striking thing was about aspirin. So mostly you have seen that if you are taking diabetes medicine or blood pressure medicine, so automatically doctor prescribe you aspirin also, blood thinner also, isn't it? Right? But the new guideline says, which was implemented in European guideline in 2016 already, right? 2014 FDA already announced, but at least American Heart Association this year they also announced, and that is, if among you those who are taking aspirin, ask yourself, had I have any heart attack in the past? Answer is no. Ask yourself, did I have any brain stroke in the past? Answer is no. If both the answer is no, you don't need aspirin. New guideline, try to understand, right? This means if you never had a heart attack, never had a brain stroke, still you are taking aspirin, this means you are making your life more miserable, you are injuring yourself inside. What happens when you take aspirin? It makes inflammation in your stomach, that inflammation becomes ulcer, and if you continue taking it, it becomes cancer, and people die of internal bleeding, people die of cancer. It is true that if you take aspirin, your chances of dying of heart disease reduces substantially. Because it's not because it helps the heart in some way. It is because before you die of heart disease, you die of internal bleeding because of aspirin side effect. So pronounced the aspirin side effect is that this year American Heart Association, they were forced to change the guideline on aspirin. Just imagine, aspirin is the oldest modern medicine. Oldest, right? It was discovered in 1890, right? Oldest, more than 130 years. And after 130 years of promoting aspirin and most widely prescribed medicine, and now a complete U-turn, so you can well imagine the uncertainty around the medicine. And it clearly states, you can see, this means you cannot have faith on medicine. And any medicine when you take for long run period, it is certainly going to injure yourself. So there has to be some way to come out of it. So here, before I go to solution, only one last topic, next 2 minutes I'll spend and then jump into solution. Because currently what you are doing is not a solution, I just want to impress on that. So when you talk of diabetes medicine, blood pressure medicine, one automatic third thing comes cholesterol. These, you start with any one of them, it will pull other two. Which one will come first, it depends on person to person, but at the end, you are taking all the three combination. Now, when you take high cholesterol or cholesterol lowering drug, if I ask you what is the name of the drug, you will call it statin, some kind of statin, right? That you already know. But what statin can do? FDA warning 2012. It can cause memory loss. It can cause diabetes. It can cause muscle damage, and it can cause erectile dysfunction. It can cause heart disease. So those are the warning given by FDA. Now, FDA responsibility is to give the warning, and now it is up to you and up to the doctor whether you follow the warning or not, but that is true. If you want to know the truth of it, you just go to the doctor and ask, doctor, what is the scientific name of statin, cholesterol lowering drug? What is the scientific name? Doctor will say statin, but statin is a nickname. What is the scientific name? Scientific name. So you can Google and find the scientific name. The scientific name of cholesterol lowering drug is, it is called HMG coenzyme inhibitor. HMG coenzyme inhibitor. It is not called cholesterol inhibitor. Inhibitor means stopping, right? Stopping, right? It is not called cholesterol inhibitor, although it is promoted as it lowers the cholesterol. But in reality, it does, what it does, it lowers HMG coenzyme. HMG coenzyme, what is this? It is a kind of chemical which your body produces. Right, our body produces a chemical called HMG coenzyme, and HMG coenzyme in turn it kickstart a kind of chemical pathway called mevalonate pathway. And when it happens, a series of chemicals are produced by our body because of this pathway, right? And one of them is cholesterol also. So when you are taking cholesterol lowering drug, that is called statin, so what is happening? You are breaking the pathway here. You are stopping this to work. This means this pathway will not be produced much, and ultimately cholesterol production by the body will increase or reduce. It will be decreased, right? So it is decreasing the cholesterol not directly but indirectly. Are you getting the point? Right? So, but how? By forcing this mevalonate pathway not to happen or to happen in lesser quantity. So reducing the quantity of cholesterol production by the body. Now here the important thing you have to understand that what these are the chemical produced by the body, and these are having a specific role in the body, definitely. That's why the body is producing it. I'll give you how important these can be with one small example only, and that is among all the muscles of the body, which is the muscle which never get tired, which never stops working? Heart. Right? You see the muscles of the legs of the hand, with little bit of working you get tired, you sit and you relax, and then again it regains its energy. But unlike that, the heart muscle, when you are born, since that time till now, it is pumping, it is working, right? Do you want to give it a rest? Right? Oh, you have been working for last several years since I am born, take rest few minutes. You cannot dare to do it, right? Then you will be on a permanent rest. So, did you ever think, what is so special about heart muscle that it never get tired? The answer is very clear, and that is, it is the CoQ10. You see the second chemical here, it is the CoQ10. This is the kind of chemical which gives the strength to the heart, and as a result, it never gets tired, it can beat continuously, and that is why we are alive. Now, when you take statin, this medicine, what is happening? It is not only reducing cholesterol, it is reducing the quantity of this production also. Now, all the patient, and if you are the one who is taking cholesterol lowering drug, you yourself can be a testimony that once you started consuming it, within the first 2 months, you reported to the doctor. For most of you, doctor, since the time I'm taking cholesterol lowering drug, I get tired too easily, right? I get tired, I get fatigued, muscle pain, even erectile dysfunction. So doctor will never relate that is because of cholesterol lowering drug. Doctor will say, okay, I'll give you one medicine. The name of the medicine is CoQ10. So try to understand that what you're doing a direct harm to yourself by taking cholesterol lowering drugs. So cholesterol lowering drug is not a cholesterol lowering drug, it is an HMG coenzyme inhibitor. And since it is a HMG coenzyme inhibitor, and you see all these chemicals, each one of them plays an important role in immunity, important role in cancer cure, cancer prevention, and so signaling system. So these all are kind of things which contribute to your immunity directly or indirectly. So when you are taking statin, you are making yourself more prone to various kind of illness. So surely statin is something which is so poisonous. Actually, it is from where statin came. There is called red rice plant, which is found mostly in China, and God has given a special gift to red rice plant, and that gift is that when some predator or some small insects want to eat that plant, the plant can throw a small poison on the insects, and insects die of the poison, and that poison is called statin. So the American soldier, they got this poison and they thought that let it be of some use to kill our enemy. And later they gave it to scientists, and scientists, they found a business out of it, and that is what is known as cholesterol-lowering drug. Right? So it is a poison gifted by the God, by the nature, to a particular kind of plant, so that it can protect itself from the insects. Right? So it is given in a small diluted form, so it is not going to kill you in one day, but at the same time it will kill you little by little, and what happens that you start collecting more illness, heart disease medicine, right, blood thinner, etc., and your impotency medicine. You see, these days, especially Singapore, there are so many infertility clinics, which was not the challenge about 20 years back. Right? That was never a challenge. Now I see in my office, whether in Malaysia or India or Vietnam, youngsters, they come with the challenge of they are not able to produce babies. Right? So, so many things are happening around. So this is all about the problem. Now, with this understanding, what is the solution? When you go from here tomorrow, today, so tomorrow what you should do? So for solution, what we have to do? Here, let me just complete one slide. You see, did you see this movie, Pa? Pa is this is a son who looks like a father. Right? Why? Because a kind of disease, Hutchinson-Gilford syndrome. And this happens to about, for every 2 million children, one child suffers from this disease. And this disease happens because the child's body naturally is not able to produce this mevalonate pathways. So the child, for every 1 year, the child grows by 10 years. So this means 8-year-old child will look like 80 years. And that is a real, you will see 80-year man, right? So, but the memory, the brain is of the child because he is a child, but he looks like an 80-year-old man. Right? So try to understand, when you're taking cholesterol-lowering drug, you're forcing yourself to become old very, very quickly. Right? So the unfortunate children, those who are born without the body's ability to produce it in a good quantity, they are the one at the age of 8 years, they look like this. Right? Indian Bollywood movie made with this concept called Pa. Right? So that is one poison which you should not eat. Right? So when you go back, the first thing you take out, and even don't throw it, right? Because even the animal may eat it. Right? So you just destroy it, and find an innovative way to destroy it or hide it somewhere. Right? If you are a diabetes patient for more than 10 years, if you are an insulin dependent patient, and if you are on multiple therapy. So for these kind of patients, my recommendation is, step one, first is, once you go back home, you go to this link, biswaroop.com/reference. And whatever references I gave today, many of the references are there in these 3 books. So by going to this, you can download the free ebook, all these 3. So first download this and upgrade your knowledge about what is true and what is wrong, what is the evidence-based science. And one very interesting book I want you to read, it is called Why the Mortality Rate Drops When the Doctors Go on Strike. It is seen all over the world, when the doctors are not working, when they are on strike, the health of the population start improving. And when the strike ends and when doctors resume their work, again the people get sick. Right? So, and it is in British Medical Journal. I just collected all the data, and then I analyzed the data with the American Harvard scientist Leonard Horowitz here, and together we wrote this book. And when this book came, I have written about 25 books, but this book, no publisher, uh, uh, they agreed to publish. So I had to self-publish the book, and from the name itself you can understand it can be a threaten to the publication. So publication they did not. So I have self-published book. So since I have self-published it, so it is easy for me to circulate it freely. So you must read this book. So the first step is you must upgrade yourself with the knowledge, and that will tell you again and again that if you are on so many medication and insulin, you are heading towards getting killed, right? That is like suicidal. Now, for this kind of patient, I say that whatever my recommendation is, that if you start following that diet, so that means from tomorrow your body will start producing insulin, and if your body starts producing insulin, this means the kind of insulin you are taking, that you have to correspondingly reduce, taper down. But how much to taper down? Many times I have seen my patients, they are not able to decide on their own. But I, as an expert seeing thousands of patients of similar kind, I know exactly how much insulin I should reduce in this particular patient to get the best outcome, right? So that is always a problem in this particular, with these kind of small group of patients. So I advise them that rather than doing at home independently on your own, you should do it under the supervision of some expert. And when I say expert, I don't mean doctors, because in their 7 years of medical study, they do not have more than 7 pages of study on nutrition. So they are not the right kind of people to ask which nutrition, which food and what quantity. They will never tell you, or they will never know when you eat certain kind of food in certain quantity, how much fluctuation will be there in blood sugar and blood pressure, and accordingly how to taper down the medicine or how to adjust the dosage.